Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Art of the Game. We're here at Cabbit Crossing, and we are back with our guest GM, Sarah Moore. And Sarah, if you've never been to Art of the Game before, this is where we share some tips, some tricks. Sometimes we do a little debating on different topics with tabletop role-playing games. And with Sarah here today, you picked the topic. What are we talking about today?
I thought we would chat a little bit about meeting your players where they are. We always talk a lot about like how you curate a table and how you can prep as a GM and what you're doing beforehand. But I think a huge part of it, especially if you end up running at conventions with a bunch of strangers or anything like that, is being able to read the room, kind of, read your table, see where your players are at, and being able to kind of meet them halfway.
I think that's a good point too, because something I know we talked about to a degree, but like the GM, wields the power, but only as a mandate from the masses, as they say. And sure. And so like ultimately the campaign you're going to run needs to be built around the structure of what the players are interested in doing, what they've chosen to be, right? What they think is cool, right? Like you aren't going to put a stealth campaign if there's no rogues in the party, and so,
or it has to be like that has to be such a thing going into it of like, they know it's a stealth campaign and they have chosen,
right? But like
not be
stealthy. In general, the characters that you have in the party establish your initial roadmap, and I think when GMs don't understand that, you are setting yourself for a lot of trouble and probably the death of your campaign early, quite frankly.
I think it can end up being a thing where, and I understand that there are stubbornness that on both sides, that there are arguments from both sides, so it's not, I'm not saying that as a GM, you should always change everything that you're doing to match your players. But like, you do have to understand that at the table, there are going to be, however many you and the players, there's not just one person, and like, and it's important to realize that you cannot have the game unless you're all there, and so you all have to be able to like come together and be like, we are telling the story together, which means that if you have somebody at the table who is just like really invested but wildly uncomfortable speaking in a character voice, that can't be a thing that you go after them about. Like, it has to be, you need to be able to make sure that everybody is able to engage in a way that makes them feel comfortable.
Well, some of us as game masters don't do voices very well either,
and that's also fine. Like,
I do fantastic accent, especially French.
Well, I can get the characterization of individual characters quite well. It's just, but it's all in my voice generally.
Sure.
Yes. I mean, I will not embarrass myself by trying to do an accent.
We'll do it later.
Yeah, totally.
We'll embarrass ourselves later.
Yeah, exactly. Off camera. Yeah.
Off camera. Yeah. I think that it is very, I think that there is this like, this is maybe a separate subject, so welcome to where my brain goes. But there are a lot of, memes and jokes and all those things about like, it is the DM versus the players. And it sets up this really adversarial kind of situation. And like,
that's Redbox
those jokes stuff. Are funny, sure. But like, if that is your attitude going in, then you are not at all going to attempt to like meet them where they are comfortable playing. And then nobody's going to have any fun.
Yeah.
That's Redbox thinking, right? That's old days stuff. I mean, you can still
the DVDs. What are you talking about? No,
I'm talking about the. I don't have one here, but I've the original D&D. Yeah, the original D&D red box. Yeah, post white box actually, but no. I mean, like, I don't necessarily want to single anyone out, but like I've like we're obviously thinking about game masters that don't do this, right? And there's one in particular I played it one time. Like great, like as a player, absolutely wonderful, right? But his attitude as a GM, I knew that he had trouble with his campaigns, but until I actually played them, I'm like, oh, that's why your campaigns always end early. It's it's like he definitely isn't doing what you're saying, but he also is like, some people just don't have the gear, as they say, right? Like,
sure.
Like some of these basic skills we need to have, like improv or characterization or whatever it is, like the empathy, whatever it is, like some people just don't have it, and they really don't make good game masters. And that's just, I think it's like, if you're one of those guys, I think it's better to recognize, like, oh wait, I'm a player, and that's okay. You don't, if you can't do it, you don't have to.
Well, and go ahead. Yeah. We have talked over Mark's completely the whole time.
Mark's gets talked over way too much.
No, it's mine.
I'm absorbing.
Yeah.
You got to always remember that's all about you. One of the terms that I like, because there's a lot of games that call a game master, a dungeon master, a keeper, or whatever. One of the ones I like. Director. Director. I like director because of filmmaking. But
the general operations director.
Oh, but one of the ones I really like a lot from the Powered by Apocalypse circles that's used by some of them is like MC, like master ceremonies. And I just like that because it's sort of like you're putting on like a social party get together thing, and like a good host doesn't sit there and go, everyone do exactly what I want you to do right now and stuff, and that's not a fun party.
I've definitely been to parties where hosts have done that, and I'm like, ooh, no, not so great.
Nobody goes to their parties again.
We use in the game that I helped design, which we're going to be playing on this channel soon. We use storyteller because these games are about telling stories. And so like just having somebody say that reminds you kind of that you are, at least for me, it's reminding you that you're like all telling that story. Like we all have the same goal.
I actually kind of want to rebut that. I not to necessarily disagree, but like, No,
I'm ready to fight. I can
actually have a disagreement tonight. I don't like calling a game master a storyteller because you actually aren't traditionally the storyteller in a lot of ways. Because like see, I'm a big proponent of the emergent storytelling because like what I find is that the most successful campaigns, just in general, are the ones that are allowed to kind of just flourish, as opposed to having a plan up front. Because like you come to the plan, I'm going to do this thing, right? But like you can't always guarantee that your players are going to be on board for it, right? And like you can get away with this more if you're a more successful, more experienced, tenured game master, right? If you have the trust of your players. But in general, I find that it's better for me, and I certainly advise people of this, is like, don't go in with your plan set in stone, because you're going to discover the story as you go, right?
And that doesn't mean that you're not telling it.
No, but I find that I'm not the story. Like I think that some game masters need to get out. Well, a lot of game masters probably need to get out their own way, and that it's like the story is about the players. It's their story, right? And so like you can build it, help it grow, develop, right? But your goal is to kind of like find their story, and then find ways to like make that fun. And you kind of just discover that as you go, because you don't necessarily have the ability to predict what's going to happen. And there's all these discoveries in the course of events that you're like, oh, that's great. And so
I don't think that we are saying different things. I think
I don't think so either. Yeah.
For no reason, because we're not we're saying the same thing. I
think it's a terminology thing.
I think the story is, of course, with the players and what you are bringing to it. And I think your job as a storyteller is to weave it together into coherence.
Yes.
Because everybody knows that players will go off on all their wild tangents, and it might be all in 5 different directions. And so it is your job as that storyteller to find all of those threads and just like bring them back together. And so I think I don't think we're looking at it in different ways.
It doesn't feel like a storyteller role to me, because like one of the things about like the thing is you sometimes run these people that they kind of think of it in terms of the same way you would write a novel or a film script or something, right? And you definitely have to come to an understanding very quickly that you don't have that level of control over events. Like you
see storyteller more as like Lemony Snicket, like
Yeah, see, I haven't read that, so.
Or that like omniscient narrator voice that will stop in and be like, but they didn't know what they were doing.
I love that.
I think it's more that. I think it's like a Wes Anderson film. The way that I run things like as a storyteller, where obviously it's just these other people's story and they are doing they have agency, but like you need somebody who is overlooking the whole thing, being like, but across town this was happening, and it is affecting things that are going on here.
I remember it's a story, not just like a dungeon delve game or a versus fight game or something like that.
Right. It's not.
One of the things I always do marvel at though is actually I can say that in a second. Go ahead, Mark. You're about to.
I was saying that's why I like some other terms besides, even though I say game master a lot because it's just a recognized term.
Yeah.
Dungeon master, game master. I think like going, I'm the master comes off kind of cocky and stuff. So that's why I like some of the other terms like storyteller, narrator, director, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I also really like it when you can like really tailor it to what game you're doing.
Gives the vibe.
Well, we also
in Thirsty Sword Lesbians, you're the gay master, which is
really that makes sense for that game.
Well, we also like people like role players tend to be very much into their traditions, and they have a hard time letting them go, and that's why these things are so popular. But. Like
they're good self-defense weapons too.
Yeah, exactly. Well, like the GM or the DM, or like that term. It's like it's always going to be there because it's how we've been doing it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, there's been a lot of, regardless of what I am running, there's always somebody at the table who's like, "You're the DM." Like, yeah. Yes, I am.
Gotta respect the shield.
My job.
Yeah. Well, as far as like meeting people where they're at, I mean, I don't know. It's like there's lots to say on it, but it is just simply like it is what it is as a concept, and like you see the genesis of this show actually was like trying to how do we introduce this to people that are new to GMing, right? Because I go to a lot of shows and I meet a lot of people selling my books, and so many of them have never done it before or they're brand new. And it's like, that is one of the things that is I kind of just alluded to a little while ago is like, you run into these people and you get talking to them, and all these new game masters are full of these huge ideas and like these grand visions because they've maybe got the story in them, or they see, they watch Critical Role or something. I want to do that. Right. And, or seeing some of your stuff. Right. But it's like, they're new and they're never going to get that. Like you have to put your time in. You have to put your 10,000 hours or whatever it is.
It's not even just putting your time in. It's like realizing, and I think we've touched on this in some of the other sections that we've done for this episode, but like it's realizing that like so much of what your experience of the game is going to be is who you have at your table. And so like if your players are professional voice actors who've had a lot of improv experience, you are going to have a very different time as a game master than if you are sitting at a table of people who have never played any role-playing game before, or people who have been playing role-playing games for 25 years but never in an entertainment sort of way. Like it is all very different. And I think that as much as I appreciate what Critical Role has done for the visibility of D&D, like it has given people a lot of false equivalencies. What is going to happen at your table? I'm going to sit down and my friend Carl, who has played a couple video games and is an accountant and has never even dressed up for Halloween, is going to be just as good as all of the people who are on Critical Role.
Yeah. Well, the idea
is not true.
Meeting where they're at, I think, is more important potentially for the brand new GM than it necessarily is for the three of us, because we're tenured, right? But it's like the person who's never done this before, understanding the idea kind of as you're playing there, like these, you probably are at a table with people that also have very little experience playing, and you know, you need to be prepared to start small and get to know because like, yeah, maybe you know this guy, he's been your friend for years, but until he has his character sheet, you know, it brings something out of people sometimes when they are in the world, and oh, I can go do whatever I want, you know, that, and I've definitely had players that they're reasonably fine most of the time, but when they go into an environment where like, oh, there's societal restrictions are done, okay, I'm turning into a complete psychopath now.
Yeah.
And,
or people who get choice paralysis, and they're just like, I'm like, here's the room, and they're like, well, I don't know what to do. Like, well, what would you do if you were in a room? Like, you would do something.
I find what we forget sometimes, if you play D&D a lot, you think, and 5th edition is probably the easiest version of D&D, most likely.
One of them,
one of the most of them. But even then, it's still not super easy for a beginner player who never has done anything before. So sometimes
you learn how to visualize it.
Yeah. Well, but you also learn the rules, because you have to. There's certain. It doesn't always allow everything, how the leveling system works and classes and stuff do. That's why sometimes I like, brand newbies, I'll be like, let's try Monster of the Week for a couple sessions, get you used to the idea, and then we'll expand into D&D, or Shadow Dark is a good intro one too, and go from there. So
I think one of the good things about D&D and 5e in particular is that there is a wealth of actual plays that people can watch, and so that is something that is like very easy for you to like. You know, there are people who are like, I'm going to try it because of Critical Role or The Adventure Zone or, you know, Dungeons and Daddies or whatever. Stranger Things, absolutely. Like, it's sort of, it's kind of everywhere, right? And so, like, that is what a lot of people want to use as their intro. And I think 5e is the most accessible D&D that has ever existed. I think it is the most user-friendly. I think since you have D&D Beyond, and it's a thing that you can sign up for free, that, like, being able to just be like, I want to do this kind of check, and just being able to click on it. And if your DM is happy to let you do that, that's great. You roll the dice, it does the math for you. Like, there are a lot of tools that it has, because it's got all of that sweet Hasbro money behind it, that can allow you to do that. And I think that is, they have worked really hard to make it so that as a new GM or a new player, it is very easy with their tools for you to get started.
And the SRD is online for free, so you can always look at the rules. So if you can't afford the book for a player.
You know, it is interesting that we're definitely in an era where I'd say half the games are online. Like it's harder now to get people together. Right?
And it's always been hard, but I know what you mean.
I may have had it lucky because I didn't tend to have that issue so much, but like it changed after the big C.
Don't use that word.
Yes, exactly. But no, the because like as I said before, but like the guy who used to host our game, he got sick like 4 times.
Yeah,
I mean, you know, so some people shouldn't. Like, are in circumstances where, you know, they don't want to have that, right?
Well, so and we all have jobs and stuff. Sometimes it's easier just to go home, turn on a camera, and go like, okay, let's play, and then trying to travel and get food.
And now I've got players all over the country, right? So it's like, you know, we're clearly not. Some of us may never even meet in person, right? So it's kind of like doing it in, you know, right here in the computer is kind of the new normal.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's even. That adds another layer of meeting players where they are, right? Yeah. Part of that is that if you expand yourself literally physically to being able to offer it in this way, instead of having to be at the table in person, that opens it up to people who are not in your zip code, but also like who maybe are not meeting people in person, like, you know, who couldn't get there. But then also, like, because you have that separation of the screen, it is even more important and a bigger part of your job as the GM to be like, I am going to make sure that we have checked to make sure that, like, everybody's safety boundaries are met, and I know what sort of game you're all looking for, and like do you need extra time to formulate your thoughts? And that is another part of it, is that if you have somebody who, I've had people at my table who have had stutters, and they have told me before, like, I'm just going to need an extra moment when it's my turn because it takes me longer to formulate a sentence.
Mhm.
And like, that is all part of it. Those are all accommodations of like finding where these people want to be. And unfortunately for everyone, if you have a player who steps on people as your job as a GM and meeting everybody where they are, is like reining that person in. Like, not your turn yet. So glad you're excited.
Well,
gentle parent them to be quiet.
Yeah. One of the things I've run into over the years, as you kind of say, like, there's that person that has to be the last person at the table, which it's pretty easy to handle that when, like, it kind of tends to sort itself out when you're all at the same table, and it's fairly easy to just take the quiet one and make sure that they get called on. But I've noticed that when you're playing it in the format like we have here, right, where you have like, it's very easy for voices to be drowned out, because it's if you're in a room, you can still talk over somebody and it kind of works. It's not polite necessarily, but it does work. Sure. But you can't do it in this format at all. And it really accentuates the need for the GM to kind of have that role of like, okay, so hold on a second, we only one at a time, call in a person, call another person, observe and be aware when someone isn't getting their voice heard. Right. Or call on the person who doesn't get called on, like we have to do with Mark sometimes on the show. But but like that's kind of the thing. Like, you have to, it's more of a problem than it is in an in-person game if you're playing online.
I actually have found the opposite.
Really?
I kind of have too. For action plays, yeah.
That's interesting.
There is like a Zoom etiquette that people have fallen into where if somebody else starts talking, they like, oh, I should stop because I don't want to step on this person.
And
at the table,
I found the opposite.
That's interesting because
as you step over her and talk.
I
know, right?
I found I can just tell her to shut up.
Well, I was actually curious if you could hear me while she was talking, because I've noticed, because we play with Zoom, and I've noticed that when two people are talking at the same time, nobody can be understood.
Zoom does it worse than StreamYard. Zoom tends to cut to one channel. So
a little bit more. And it's like, okay, one at a time. And everybody kind of laughs like, oh, we did it again, so.
Well, and I think maybe that's because people are used to that and know that if they start talking over somebody that they're not going to be heard, and like whatever they have to say is very clever and they want you to hear it. So they're going to hold on to it for a second until there's a pause. Whereas at my regular table, if somebody thinks of something, they're just going to blurt it out. I'm just going to say it. You have to hear it. I just had this thought.
The one-liners.
I thought with genre play, I think we all do a pretty decent job not talking over each other, and everybody takes their turns and stuff. It seems, I think also by streaming and knowing that people are watching, you're extra careful to articulate and not talk over each other, so people will understand what's happening. So
unless you're DMing for puppets, and then they just say whatever they want.
I have an interesting one, though, where I've got a guy at one of my tables who's just like the constant quiet one, and he kind of just sits back and like enjoys it and takes it in, and like he'll, like, you can kind of just let him do his thing because he's not necessarily being omitted. But it's the interesting one because he's the smartest guy at the table as well, so it's like they probably should pay attention when he does decide to speak. But so it's like it kind of works out because the chatty ones don't necessarily, they can kind of fall into their own rhythm, right? And they aren't necessarily, fighting over each other for space necessarily.
So let's recap.
Greg, get over here. We need your list.
Well, I got a list. I didn't put it on a sheet though. Talk for another second, and I will put it on something that's a little better.
Okay, so there is one aspect of this we haven't really got into, is like, we probably need to do a whole episode on this again. If I don't know, we have to look at, as we're doing this enough of these that I've kind of lost track of some of the topics. But there is that classic, disruptive player archetype, right? And that's one of the situations where I'm sure you've had those people at your table before, Sarah. Like, I've certainly had some that that have grown very notorious in my circles. But like some of those guys, like it it's one that can give a game master a big ruin, because you have this person and you're doing your best to try to meet them, or someone that's like maybe slightly sociopathic and they just don't get it. But it's like, you know, there is no really good way to handle the situations, because like you can be very emotionally invested. They can be hard to get rid of when they should be moving on. But like trying to find them where they're at, meet them where they're at, is actually not necessarily in anybody's best interest. And because they, in my experience, these kinds of people aren't actually interested in other people having a good time. They're interested in their good time.
Yeah.
Not the good time of other people. And so it's like having them there. There's people I've encountered where, like, you know, they break up the group.
Sure.
And it's just one of those unfortunate aspects of it. But it is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I was sort of joking earlier when I said you gentle parent them, but you do as the GM. It's sort of I used to be a preschool teacher, and I also used to be a Girl Scout leader, and I have used both of those sets of skills when I am at the table.
I could see your players going, "Oh God, she's brought out the mom voice."
Oh my, yeah. Oh no, mom voice. Absolutely. Yeah. And like, I try not to do it in that direction. I don't want to yell at anybody. I mean, there absolutely have been times when you've had to just be like, hey, knock it off. And people get like, oh, sorry. But I think that like, if you can, it's that gentle parenting. Truly, I know it's a joke, but I can't explain it any better. It's just sort of like, just that, like, I'm disappointed in you.
It's a funny thing about that, though. You being an actual mom, right? Because you've got two kids, you've had that mom role. People are going to naturally respond to you that way. We're like, oh, she's doing the mom thing. Okay, I have to back down. Whereas, like,
people still listen to their mom,
right? Exactly. Where like at the games I run, you know, like I've earned the respect aspect. Where people are like, okay, we know this guy can handle himself, but it's like, it's not the same thing.
Right. It should be like, who's your daddy?
Right. No.
Yeah, different thing. I mean, but you can dad them a little bit. Everybody wants to make their dad proud. Like, I think it's part of that. I think you have to find the thing, and this is part of being a good game master, is finding the thing that commands your players' attention.
Yeah.
And whatever that is, it's something that like is inherently you.
Yep. Oh, giant dragon just flew by. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So just some stuff. Obviously, meet them. What kind of game they want to play, right? What genre? What tone?
Yep.
And you need to meet what experience level they're at. So if they're beginners, you can't overwhelm them. It's not you versus them. You need to help guide them. And same with performance level. Nobody has to talk in voices per se.
Yep.
So you adjust to what they're comfortable with.
And most of us will not. For most of us, it's never going to be performance art.
Yeah, I do sometimes. You never know. I mean, if the GM's willing to do it, that helps sometimes.
Well, yeah, but you're running a channel, Marks. Like you're trying to develop that kind of an experience where the majority of us, I mean, like, we're talking to people that are just all they're ever going to be is playing at their own table or a con or something, right? So it's like, you know, it's not performance art for most of us. It's not even a realistic goal. Yeah.
Most people, but you can try for it if you want.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Meet them at their location, or in this way, remote through Zoom or whatever app you want to use, StreamYard, Zoom, whatever else is out there, and helping guide the conversation or guide the story, like storyteller or narrator or master of ceremonies, one of those type of terminology. So, what I miss? Anything in there?
Well, well, I mean, there was the talk of, like, you know, the campaign is ultimately defined by what the players are going to play, right? Like what characters they choose or what they're interested in doing. And so it's like
genre and tone.
Yeah, but also what they're just personally interested in, right? So it's like, you know,
that's one of the great strengths, but also could be a problem with D&D is you can play D&D is wide enough. You can play all sorts of kind of games. You can do a heist. You can do dungeon delve. You can do whatever. The rules could support it, but then that could be a problem because then if everybody wants something different experience, it can cause issues, right?
But
so you need to get on the same page of what kind of experience, or at least make sure you give them a piece of what they want. If a rogue keeps wanting to backstab somebody, let them backstab somebody.
But you cannot get the play, like if you want to run a campaign, your players just won't bite on it, or there's a plot you want to do, you have to be willing to let it go, because the players have got to want to participate.
No, okay. I mean, yes,
you disagree?
But you as the GM are also a part of the experience.
Absolutely.
And should not give up everything that you want just because like maybe you need to find a different table when you're putting it together. If you have an idea of a thing that you really want to do it, you as a game master are part of the experience and part of the game. You are playing everyone else. So
you're absolutely correct. Like the GM's fun is important too. It's just that
you don't want to be, you're worried about someone who takes control and this is the story, I'm locking you in and you've got to follow this path, right?
Yeah, no, it's got to be more freeform. And sometimes the players just aren't going to bite, and sometimes you got to pivot.
I think the talent comes into where you're like, are the players just not wanting to go that direction, or are they not picking up on your clues? Because sometimes like what's an obvious clue is not obvious to players sometimes.
Yeah, and you can get your big ideas. You just have to get them there through what the players are willing to do. And it as long as you engage with where they're at and what they're trying to be, you can get where you want to go with the story. It's just you might not get there the way you think you're going to get there.
Yeah, and that's part of the fun. So
yeah. Yeah.
All right. Any other last thoughts? We're hitting about the 30-minute mark or so.
Talk about this for hours.
That's what future episodes are for, right?
So exactly. There can be more later.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, keep one more.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks again for joining us, Sarah. Thanks for being on the last few episodes here and sharing your point of view.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. You could certainly come back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I gotta yell at somebody again. I didn't yell at anybody this time.
Yeah, Greg could. Oh, I forgot to mention at the beginning. I got in such a rush. Greg couldn't obviously make it today, and it's not because he's afraid of being yelled at.
Well, there was actually a scenario tonight where I didn't make it, but it all worked out. So
yeah, you've missed a few episodes. That's the good thing when we have a guest on. It doesn't have to be all three of us necessarily.
No, it's probably better if it isn't actually. So yeah.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for watching. I hope you got some useful tips there. Of course, you can check out Sarah more. Well, I'll put links to everybody in the description, unless you have somewhere you want to tell people to go, actually. Sarah?
I'm Pixies and Pins everywhere. So just anything that you can have a handle on, just type that in there. I'm probably okay.
Nice.
And obviously, Woody's a miniature dragon, and I'm at CabbitCrossing or markspaw.com.
Yep.
So I hope you guys found something useful in this episode. Leave comments. Let us know what you think, what your thoughts are on the stuff we talked about. Make it a conversation. Share your stories.
Yeah. Tell me if you want me to come gentle parent you.
Or aggressively parent.
Whatever.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching. And until next time.
When the dice roll high, we touch the sky. But when they crash, it's a belly laugh. Genre play, lighting the way. Our tales unleash the wild ram.